4.0 Prerequisite Skills for Linear Equations. So let's just review what the lowest common denominator is. Okay, the lowest common denominator is the least common multiple of the denominators of a set of fractions. Okay, it simplifies adding, subtracting, and comparing fractions. Okay, so those are the three things that we can do when we have common denominators. So example 1, find the least common denominator for the fractions in each set. So A, 1 over 4 and 5 over 6. So the two denominators that we're looking at are 4 and 6. So if we take a look at 4, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. And all we're doing is patterning by 4s. And then we have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. Okay, again, patterning by 4s. And let's look for the lowest one that's common. It's going to be 12. So the LCD is 12. Now we're going to do the same thing for B, 10 and 20. So 10, 20, 30. To be honest, as soon as we hit that 20, we can stop because multiples of 10 actually hit this 20. So the lowest common denominator is going to be 20. Okay, and now 6, 5, and 10. Okay, so we have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then we have 10, 20, 30. Okay, so the lowest common denominator here is 30. Okay, example 2, we're just going to work with a little bit of integers here, okay? As a recall, two positives beside each other is a positive, and two negatives is also a positive. Any mixture, oops, take that away, is going to be a negative. Okay, so I have 4 plus negative 3 minus negative 5. So these two negatives will be like a plus 5. And then plus 3, two positives, again positive. So I'm just going to rewrite this. 4 minus 3, sorry, plus and minus just go to negative. Okay, plus 5, plus 3, and then minus 6. Okay, so let's just go, what is 4 minus 3? We get 1. Okay, 1 plus 5, I get 6. And I'm just bringing these down. Plus 3 minus 6. 6 and negative 6 cancel out. So we get 3. Okay, for B, we're going to distribute this negative 2 into the bracket. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. We come to the end of the bracket, so we stop distributing. Now let's distribute this negative 2 into this bracket. Okay, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. And when we have a positive sign in front of the bracket, we can just drop that bracket. So we have a plus minus, which gives us a minus. So minus 2 minus 1. Okay, negative 2 plus 6 is 4. Minus 8 minus 6 minus 2 minus 2 minus 1. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. And then I'm just copying the rest of this down here. Negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10. And we do this step by step. Negative 10 minus 2 is negative 12. Negative 12 minus 2 is negative 14. Negative 14 minus 1 is negative 15. Okay, now we're going to focus on like terms. So like terms are terms whose variables and their exponents are the same. Okay, so any term with an x on it, say it's like 3x, this is going to be a like term to any term like maybe like a 2x. So those are like terms. However, if we had 3x squared and 2x, those are not like terms. Okay, so the exponents have to be the same as well. In other words, terms that are like each other, okay, only like terms can be added or subtracted together. So let's go ahead, for example, 3 and simplify. So I'm going to underline terms that are like. So I go left to right, so as soon as I see 3x, I then look for any other x's and I see negative 2x. Okay. Negative 2y and positive 5y. Then I get plus 1 minus 10. And I can go ahead through this and I can collect these like terms. 3x minus 2x is just 1x. Negative 2 plus 5 is plus 3y. And 1 minus 10 is negative 9. Okay, and if you take a look at this answer, we have an x, we have a y, and we have a constant, and none of those are like terms. Okay, B. We have an a here and an a here, so we have a minus 6a. And we have negative 2b and plus 2b. And then we just have one constant, which is 4. So, a minus 6a is negative 5a. Negative 2b and 2b are opposite numbers, so they cancel. And then we bring down that negative, or the positive 4. Okay, C. I start with a constant, so I have 1 plus 5. And then I have negative 5y minus 8y. So 1 plus 5 is 6. And negative 5y minus 8y is negative 13y. Okay, for this one, I'll start with the x's. So we have 2x, and that's the only x value here. So we have negative 3y and plus 5y. And then remember, a plus minus is just a minus. So we have minus 1, minus 5. Okay, so bring down the 2x because we can't add it or subtract it to anything. And negative 3y plus 5y, I get 2y. And negative 1 minus 5, I get negative 6. And that's how you simplify by collecting like terms. Okay, the distributive law says that multiplying a number by a group of numbers added together is the same as doing each multiplication separately. So for example, it's like saying for this one, we have a monomial and a binomial. It's like saying a times b plus a times c, which we can see right there. So let's go ahead and expand and simplify. So what is 3 times x? 3x. 3 times 2? 6. And we're done. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Okay. Negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. And negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. Okay, for D, 3 times k is 3k. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And then this coefficient's just 1, so if we were to multiply this into the bracket, it would not change. So all we essentially do is drop these brackets, and we get plus 3k plus 4. Now this one's a little bit more complex because we have to collect like terms. So we have 3k plus 3k, so we get 6k. We get negative 3 plus 4, so it's plus 1. Okay, E. This negative sign is actually negative 1. So negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Okay. Negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. And negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. So again, we have to collect like terms. Negative x minus 6x would be negative 7x's. And negative 1 minus 8 is negative 9. Okay, example 5, evaluate each expression for x equals 2 and y equals -1. So again, every time I substitute a number in, I always put brackets around it, especially if it's a negative number. So let's go ahead and sub those into A. So we have 4x, so that's 4 times 2, plus 3y, which is 3 times -1. Okay, 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times -1 is -3, and we get 5. 8 minus 3. Okay, for B, we have x times y. So our x is 2 and our y is -1. Okay, minus 2x. So minus 2 times 2. Plus 3y is plus 3, and then our y is -1. So 2 times -1 is -2. -2 times 2 is -4. 3 times -1 is -3. All three of these are negative numbers, so what is -2 minus 4 minus 3? I get -9.